Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is for you. Welcome back to another Division 2 video. Today I'm gonna showcase one of my favorite builds running with this global event, the Hollywood event. And I usually don't really like the Hollywood event, but of course, like we know, with TU20, with all the updates, they updated the seasons as well. With this updated season, with the Hollywood event, they changed a bunch of things, and the most important, especially in combination with this build, is giving us specialization ammo on your body when you take somebody out with your specialization or with an explosion. And that's what makes this build so incredibly powerful. Of course, they also tripled the radius, tripled the damage, and it is a lot of fun to play right now. As you can see in the background, we are blowing everything up. We are utilizing the most damage possible throughout our explosives. And no, we're not using explosive skills. This is all about the build. Of course, we are running that specialization, the demolition for those nice grenades, and you just can spam those grenades. And even if they're close to each other, you run into a room, wherever it is, you fire one shot and they will blow all to Kingdom Come, as you can see in the background. That is of course our specialization. Why are we using this? Because this gives us an extra explosive damage as well. And of course, don't forget to stack in AR damage or whatever weapon you will be using on this build. Then for my secondary weapon, I'm using the lefty. Why the lefty? Because this comes with perfect sledgehammer. You can almost take out everything with this build, with that grenade launcher, or even with one of the skills that we are using. But it's not really great against tanky enemies and or named enemies, and that's why whenever I face a tank, whenever I face a named enemy, I make sure to switch over to my lefty so we can proc that perfect sledgehammer. Just throw one of your grenades, throw it at him. When you hit him, you will see this little sign of the sledgehammer above his head. Switch over to your main gun and beam him down. Why are we using this? Because on this build we're not really using any chest piece talent or backpack talent that will increase the damage of our weapons. And for the pistol you can use whatever you want. I will use something that you don't have proficient yet, because that will save you materials and or duplicates to donate. Then the rest of the build, we are going to start with our chest piece, and that is the collector's chest piece. Yes, we finally have a build that works with the collector, or at least it is worth running that collector instead of just sitting in the corner and throwing your grenades. So this collector chest piece gives us that talent hoarder. Everything on this build, just like on this chest piece, will be critical hit chance and critical hit damage. Push everything to the max. The talent hoarder is on here. This will give us plus 3% grenade capacity, 50% grenade radius, 35% grenade damage, and 25 grenade damage for each extra enemy caught in the blast, and automatically regenerates a grenade every 30 seconds if you have less than 2 grenades in your inventory. We are mainly using this collector to raise the radius of the grenade and the grenade damage. Overall, the grenade capacity is very nice as well, but we're mostly utilizing our specialization weapon, and we're only using the grenades at tankier enemies and or named enemies, just like what I explained with our lefty for that perfect sledgehammer. There are a bunch of different combinations that you can go for, but this is the one I went for this build. And we are testing out a lot of builds live on Twitch/IamPurePrime. So jump over and see what we are rocking with. Then we're going over to our mask, and for our mask, again, we're trying to reach a higher explosive damage, and of course, then we need to go for China Light. Again, this is full reds, critical hit chance, critical hit damage on there, critical hit damage mod. And that gave me the opportunity to roll the skill tier away for some extra weapon damage. And of course, China Light will give us that 15% extra explosive damage. Talking about explosive damage, we are going for the 2 pieces of Gruppo. Why 2 pieces of Gruppo? This of course gives us that extra critical hit damage, but also gives us that 20% extra explosive damage whenever you activate your second Gruppo. You can put it wherever you want. I have it on a holster and I have it on the backpack. Talking about the backpack, this is of course, like I just mentioned, the second Gruppo that will give us that 20% explosive damage, and everything again is crit chance, crit damage mod on there. And I went for the talent Bloodsucker. And why Bloodsucker? Because this gives you so much survivability. Killing an enemy adds and refreshes stacks of 10% bonus armor for 10 seconds, and the max stack is 10. But when you run into a room, when they don't know you're there yet, when they are grouped up, or if they are just coming out of the spawn, you shoot one of your grenades with your grenade launcher, you blow them all to Kingdom Come, you will instantly have that 40 to 50% bonus armor, and that gives you a lot of extra survivability. What you also could do is go for the Festive Delivery. The Festive Delivery is one of the named Gruppo backpacks that came with, of course, our winter holiday event. And why this backpack? This again is exactly the same as for the brand set, because this is Gruppo, so we still keep our 20% explosive damage. But now we're getting the talent Fireworks Show. Concussion grenades become festive grenades. Hitting an enemy with a festive grenade will cause an explosion to happen around 2 other enemies within 20 meters. So yes, this will help out a lot as well, but is only counting when you're throwing your grenades. As you can see, that first little line, concussion grenades become festive grenades. We're not shooting concussion grenades with our grenade launcher, so this only works with normal grenades. And that's why I kinda switched over to the normal Gruppo to get a little bit more survivability with Bloodsucker. But again, just like I said with the chest piece, there are a lot of possibilities within this global event and with all the changes that they did. Then jumping over to the last 2 pieces, and those are my gloves and the knee pads. For the gloves, I went for the Petrov gloves, of course, for that extra damage to armor. Again, I rolled some critical hit damage on there. And for the last piece, I went for Palisade. Again, a full red Palisade, so crit chance, crit damage already on the attributes, so you can roll that armor core away for weapon damage. And why Palisade? That 10% armor on kill. So every time that we take somebody out, throughout our grenade, throughout just shooting people down, we will gain that extra 10% armor on kill, still giving you a lot of survivability while running around with a full red build. And that's kinda what you wanna build towards. And this is the whole overview of the build. As you can see, we are running around with that specialization, we're running around with the Saint Elmo's, and then the lefty, of course, for that perfect sledgehammer. Then the mask of China for that extra 15% explosive damage. Gruppo, 2 pieces, holster, backpack for, of course, that 15% critical hit damage and 20% extra explosive damage. Gloves, of course, are the Petrov gloves for those damage to armor. Then the knee pads of Palisade for that extra 10% armor on kill. And then the collector exotic chest for those extra grenades, extra grenade radius, and just helping us out hitting our grenades on those named enemies. Because the tankier enemies with the big miniguns aren't that fast, so they won't jump out of your grenade radius, so it's a little bit easier to hit them. But other named enemies, snipers, or whatever named enemies are around there, they will try and dodge your grenades. And that's why it's kinda nice to have this collector's chest, because this gives us a bigger radius, so it is so much harder to jump out of that radius for any named enemy or for any enemy whatsoever, and that will proc, of course, our sledgehammer. Then over to my skills. I'm using a revive hive because it's still a full red build. You can still get taken out, or you can even blow yourself up with your own grenade launcher. Believe me, it happened to me a couple of times. Next to that, we're using the Jammer Pulse. And why the Jammer Pulse? Because this pulse also activates the Hollywood event. Whenever you pulse people, they will blow up if they get hit by that pulse. And that's why we're using it. I'm not using it that much, but it's always nice to have something that will activate this event just by holding that trigger and just pulsing everybody around. Then jumping over to the stats real quick, and we have 60% crit chance, perfectly at that cap, 188% critical hit damage. And that's pretty much everything from the stats, because we have some armor on kill, but it's not really worth showing it to you. We can go over it real quick. That is 72k, almost 73 armor on kill. And then of course we have that extra bonus armor from our backpack. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. Quick and easy video talking to you about this build. One of my favorite builds in this global event. We're testing out a bunch of other builds as well. So if you have a build that you are loving in this event, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to test it out and maybe even showcase it on the channel as well. If you liked the video or helped you out in any way or form, make sure to like this video. If you're new here and or you want to be updated about the Division 2, the Division universe and the future Division 3, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And I will see you in the next one. PurePrime out.